We're live. What is up, yo? Welcome to Inside the Squat Rack. Oh, people are joining already. I like it. Let's call the man of the hour. 1 second. Tristan Hart. Let's see. Yo, Darren. Hold on 1 second. Press to join. Add. Yo. There he is. There's one. Tristan, have you seen the invite? Accept. Going live with Tristan Hart. Should shift over any second. Accept. Technical difficulties. Where are we at here? Accept. Going live. Just 1 sec, folks. We're figuring it out. Yo, J Nova Penny, going the dirt. What's up? Jason Mill. Let's try this again. Invite. See if we can get it figured out. J and J. There he is.
Can you hear me?
Hey. Yeah. You sound good. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yep.
Awesome, dude. Thank you. Welcome to Inside the Squat Rack. Here we are in my rack. Just to introduce this to everybody. Inside the Squat Rack is a series that I've been doing. So just a casual chat about fitness with racers, riders, and athletes from all around the world within that dirt biking scene, and I think that the two key kind of words for this whole thing is capturing perspective. I think that the internet has a ton of perspective. Instagram is littered with perspective, and of course I have mine, and Tristan Hart, you'll have yours. And what I'm trying to do is just capture as much of that as I can from the whole spectrum of riders, from your absolute novices to the middle ground to the far other end of the pinnacle of the sport, which is Mr. Tristan Hart that we have here with us tonight. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Tristan.
Thank you.
Just to get things rolling, where are you coming at us from tonight, Tristan?
Invermere, BC.
Beautiful Invermere, BC.
Yeah.
A little bit of, am I right in thinking that a bit of downtime leading into the holidays right now?
Yeah, no riding going on. Just chilling.
Just chilling. Kind of putting some coins in the family bank before you go back to work in the after New Year. Right?
Actually, painting this house. To be honest, that's what I'm really doing right now.
Yeah.
So that's
perfect.
Fascinating.
Just like the rest of us. Imagine that. You're 27, right?
Yeah, 27.
Okay. Sweet. Well, just to jump right into things, because we only have about half an hour, a little bit more. Tristan, what do you remember as your first exposure to fitness? Whether that was playing sports as a kid, or what would be your oldest memories when it comes to fitness and exercise?
Running races actually at the school here in Invermere. That's what I remember. That and track and field.
Track and field, nice. And how old would you have been for that? 6, 7?
Grade three.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah,
7,
so 6,
yeah.
so 7, 8, yeah. Were your parents athletes or athletic at all?
Uh, Maybe my dad was a bit athletic.
Okay.
My mom maybe a little bit too.
Okay.
Just standard,
Sweet.
I'd say.
Yeah. I think it's the reason I lead with that question is because I see a lot of people, I talk with a lot of people that have the impression that someone has to be kind of born with it to be an athlete, or there's some kind of like genetic piece. But with the people that I work with, there are many, many, many cases where people don't get into athletics until much later in life. And I think that there's a lot you can accomplish even if you don't start into athletics or physical fitness later on. It's not like it's never too late to start kind of thing. Which is why that question comes up first.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
did you get on? Like, how early in life did you get on a dirt bike for the first time?
3 years old, so I was
Three.
pretty young.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
I broke my femur when I was 7, so that was pretty much the end of it till I was maybe 12 or 13. We kind of gave it up, and it's just too
Right.
dangerous, I guess my parents deemed it. And then
Yeah.
we just did other sports, hockey, soccer,
Oh,
pretty
good.
much everything.
Being soccer. Good. Yeah. Through those kind of middle years. Um, did you ever have like? Is there a particular coach or a particular person that stands out in your life that that maybe inspired you or influenced you in athletics at all?
Mm, no, nothing specific, but I remember I got benched one time in hockey and I cried, and then I think I worked really hard after that and I got most improved the next year. So I really took
Awesome.
negativity, like I took it seriously, and I think that always drove me. When someone's hard on me or when something really pisses me off for some reason, that gets me fired up, and that usually can get me going pretty well.
That's excellent information. Like a bit of humility when when the feeling of getting benched or the feeling that you're not perfect, I guess, and then that hunger to change that and for it to never happen again, is kind of I think what kind of manifests inside of us as we grow as athletes to to you don't want to be benched. You don't want to come in second place and you just want to be the best that you know you can be. So that started pretty young for you, which is awesome. Um, it, uh, like mountain bike, road bike, any of that going on in the early years? BC is known for its mountain biking. Some downhill maybe.
Yeah, some downhill, some mountain bike, cross country, but I didn't really get super big into that until I was 16, and it seemed like everyone was cycling, so that's just what you had to do. So I just started going for, the longest rides I could do, 2, 3 hours, and
Yeah,
yeah, I saw other people doing it, so I'm like, that must be what you have to do.
right. There you go. Um, Lots of hill training in Vermeer, BC. I bet.
Yeah,
Like it's
I
pretty.
prefer the hills actually.
Yeah,
The flat ground kind of bores me, so going up hills is always, whether it's hiking, ski touring, mountain biking, running. I like going up hills, and on the dirt bike now too. I like going up
yeah,
hills.
yeah. There's just something about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
What what would you say is the kind of genre or style of workouts that you do now? I know you still spend a lot of time on your bikes, like your road bike, your mountain bike. But are you like hitting the weights? Are you doing any like combat sports, yoga, anything at all?
So I'd say from like when I was 16 to 23, I was doing like so much exercise. Like I was maybe cycling 3 hours a day, and then sometimes maybe going on a run, and then even dirt biking. Like I was doing three things a day sometimes, and I think I took excess wear on my body for no reason because I was just working too hard. And then when I got linked up with Jared Becker, who's my trainer now. He's just like, tone it down, Tristan, tone it down. And now we have a pretty good program where I ride a couple times a week, go to the gym a couple times a week, stretch a couple times a week, cardio a couple times a week. But really, it's not a lot of work. At least I
Right.
don't think so. It's almost to the point where it's a little bit boring and you feel like you should be doing more, but he's like, that's where you need to be. And every time I do more than that, I pick up little injuries and stuff. So we have it at a point now where it's, I haven't been injured so much the last couple of years and kind of been doing pretty well with my racing. So we're just going to keep on this trajectory and see where it can take me these last couple of years of my career.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm also very happy to hear you say that. The piece about like overtraining and when it comes to injuries and a lot of guys, that I worked with or work with now, some people you really have to rein. Some people you have to push and motivate and you're like, come on, like, go do your stuff, and other people you have to rein back. And it's the people that, like yourself, that you have to bring back that you need to be very careful with from that overtraining perspective. Because that's a ton of volume, like 2 or 3 hours a day on a bike, plus running, plus dirt biking. Your joints and nervous system and all of your systems need time to recover. So I'm happy to hear that you've kind of come up with a bit of a split for that.
Yeah, I was kind of just doing everything at a mediocre level and nothing at a high level, and go
Right.
to the race and kind of be at a mediocre level too. And so I went through a couple of years where I actually went backwards, I think, and other guys were getting better than me, and I was getting worse for like 2 years, and I was like,
Yeah.
this isn't looking good.
Yeah.
But then
There's
we
a,
turned it around.
there's a saying that I use that's, you can only train as well as you can recover, and a lot of people show up to the gym or whatever their training session is for the day and they think that they're giving 100%. But in reality, if you look at maybe like how they're sleeping and the stressors that are on them before that, they're not showing up to the gym ready. And although it feels like they're pushing 100%, they're not. So controlling that, again, just like you said, to push hard when it's time to push hard and recover in other areas at the same time is that kind of, to me, it's a very important piece of the balance of that kind of puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta know when to just go out for a light cycle and just not go too hard, just keep it easy. Like for me it's like 130 heart rate and just chill out, and that will, some of those before a race will actually help you instead of just, going all out before a race and showing up and
Yeah.
you're in a hole.
Yep, exactly. Showing up fresh. That I was going to ask you that. What's your kind of, if you've got a big race coming up on the weekend, what's your few days leading up to that look like from any kind of like mobility or fitness perspective?
Honestly, it really doesn't matter. I don't think too much. Like I can come into a race and I can, work really hard that week and have a good result. And I can also come in and not do anything that week and have a good result. So it really just comes down to your mentality on the race day, and whatever you think you need that week, I think is what you should do, regardless of if it's what you need or not. But I think just a good rule of thumb is just to try and loosen up, whatever your sport is, try and do some of that, maybe do a little bit of light cardio. And for me, I don't do much strength before events. I know lots of other people do, but for me, I just try not to touch anything with my hands so I don't get extra arm pump.
Yep, good point also. Yeah. Um, how would you say that that changes throughout? Does it change at all for you throughout your season? Are you kind of capitalizing on some time off to make some physical gains, or is it kind of a pretty standard throughout the year for you?
This time of the year, I'm actually lifting quite a bit of weights trying to hold the body together for a long, 10 or 11-month season.
Yep.
So I'm pretty much just lifting weights and stretching right now, and then we'll start riding here soon. And then that'll be the most I ride will be from like January to June, and then it just slowly tapers off till the end of the year, and try and finish strong. But by then, everything's kind of already been set up. Like the last couple months of endurocross, I was just riding once or twice a week, and definitely
Right.
wasn't doing anything special. Just at that point, my body was the way it was going to be for the year, and I had to show up and be mentally ready.
Right. Yeah. That plays a huge role. Like when I speak with most of my most of my clients are ending their race season in like October, November, and not starting again until April or May. So we've got a good like 5 months that I consider is my busiest time of year. But it's when we're going to make the most adaptations that we possibly can before the race season starts. Because I got some guys that are racing like once every 2 weeks from April to October, and we consider every race you're potentially taking a fall or a crash. For some of us, like, middle of the road riders fall a little bit more than you might, which is awesome.
I doubt it.
It's to survive a season like that when a lot of the seasons are point-based seasons, so missing a race due to an injury can pay a big price. So trying to keep people, even if they're not necessarily on the podium, keeping them showing up to the races, I think is kind of built in the off season where we're packing on muscle, we're working on mobility, and we're trying to mitigate the damage from the inevitable crashes. So that's kind of where you're at now, where it's kind of a bit of the off season, but your off season is very short because you race for so long.
Yeah, just 1 month. So usually we have one race in January, one race in February, and one race in March. So usually those months I'm still just building strength, and I'll also be riding too. But I'm still just gearing up. Like I'm not maybe peaking. I try and peak in June at Erzberg. That's usually my.
Yeah,
If I have
it's a good place to be.
as a peak, that's when I try to do it. And
Okay.
I feel like the races in January, February, March, I'm not at my best yet. I'm still just, building some steam. And hopefully by the time I get to June, I'm at a point where I can kind of chill out the whole program a bit and kind of just coast on the work I did the previous months. And
Exactly. Yeah.
that's about
Reap
it.
the reward.
Yeah.
So you said you're looking at like kind of 2 or 3 cardio days a week, 2 or 3 strength days a week, and a ton of like stretching and mobility right now. Is that right?
Well, I wouldn't say a ton of stretching, but definitely doing
So,
some stretching. Yeah, that's about where I'm at.
okay, good. Um, it's interesting to hear that too. A lot of people are, in my experience in talking with people, a lot of people they get in these mentalities of, you got to do, it's got to be all cardio, or some people are the opposite. It's got to be all strength, and to have that kind of that middle ground of, to me, especially in the off season, 3 cardio days a week is plenty. Because I want to have everyone lifting lots of weights and getting nice and strong. So if we can do, most of my programs are like 3 strength days and 3 cardio days a week but the strength days have a ton of mobility in kind of that activation phase in the beginning of it, like the warm up kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Because I think just getting people to move well, even if we're not necessarily getting stronger, just moving well will help us deal with those falls and crashes and hopefully mitigate some injury.
Yeah.
So that like that 3-3 split, yeah, works really well for me, and I'm happy to hear that's kind of what you're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever used exercise or fitness to rehab from like a specific injury, or maybe to prevent a specific injury?
You mean like coming back from an injury?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think when you're coming back from an injury, like I had a torn rotator cuff, I broke my back once, and so you won't be on the bike for probably 3 to 4 months, sometimes 5 months for bigger injuries, 6 months
right.
even. And I feel like I think maybe 2 to 3 weeks after surgery, you're back on a full program already. Obviously not, you're not maybe going all out in whatever it is, but I think you should be back on the 2 to 3 times strength a week and 2 to 3 times cardio a week. Because I think just moving the body, I know for me, I just stiffen up and
Yeah,
everything starts going south when I stop moving. So it's like a year-long
absolutely.
program for me, no matter what's going on, and probably for the rest of my life, just so I'm feeling good. I
Yeah,
know after endurocross, I took 2 weeks off and everything started hurting, so now I'm back
yeah,
on the program and feeling a bit better.
yeah. They say motion is lotion, and I truly believe that. Keeping the body moving, especially as we age, um,
Yeah.
is really important. Speaking of aging, how would you compare your like fitness programming now to something that you might have done earlier in your career? Would they be comparable, or is it like, I mean, we've already talked about how you used to spend so much time on doing the cardio stuff, but maybe even like farther back than that. How would you say it's different now that you're a little older and a little more into your career?
Yeah, it's just less. I mean, I don't know if I'm any fitter now. I don't think I would actually be as fit as I was before because I was just had such a good cardio engine going back then. I think mentally I'm definitely a lot stronger and just smarter now, and I think that's where I make up for it. If I have lost any fitness, I don't know for sure, but I'm certainly stronger in the gym, like muscle wise. And I think just honestly, mentally, I'm just in a much better place than I ever was, and that's really the difference between like a 2019 Tristan and 2024.
Right. And what about like 2010, Tristan?
In 2010, I mean,
Yeah,
athlete wasn't even on the.
right.
I was just,
You're at
playing
Steelman.
Xbox and hockey, and
Yeah,
yeah, that was a long time ago.
right. Um, what would you say are your kind of like top two or three most important things that you're doing in the gym right now?
Mm, Deadlift, I think, is for me pretty important because grip strength is really important, and it's just kind of a full body movement where you can
Mhm.
really lift a lot of weight. So for me, that'd be up there. Running for me is pretty high on the list. Just not necessarily. I mean, it does make me way fitter, but for me, it's just more mental that running makes me happy, and it just kind
Right.
of brightens my day up. So I just really like running. And
Yeah.
the third thing would be tough one. Probably a pole, like a row, the rowing machine. We hang off the back of the bike quite a bit using our lats, so I'd say
Right.
pulling, maybe a variation of a pull up, something like that.
Right. So like a deadlift, a pull, and cardio. Excellent. Um, what else do we have on the list? What uh, have you ever done any like specific mobility work for a joint, like maybe hips or knees or shoulders, something that's been bothering you that you've been able to like fix through fitness?
Hard for me to stick with stretching because I don't really see any hard for me to see any noticeable gains. I
Interesting.
am like I'm as tight as a probably the tightest human you've ever seen in your life. Just a Red Bull, and my T spine's all locked up. My shoulders are rounded forward.
Right.
My hips are all tight. So I just, from 15 years of riding the dirt bike, my whole body has just formed itself to be in that exact position. And
Yep.
they said you don't want to stretch too much to get out of that, because now my body has kind of protected itself in that position,
Okay.
which is a good thing. But you want to be a little bit looser than I am. So I am doing some certain things to try and unlock my T-spine, my hips, and my shoulders a bit.
Uh, that's excellent. I'm big on mobility and getting people to move well. I think it's, if you look at, in my perspective, if you look at when injuries occur, like even something as like slipping and falling on the ice, when you're walking, you end up in kind of extended positions where one leg is out in front of the other. And on the bike, it's often like, your shoulders gets twisted too far this way or that way. So having good ranges of motion and strength in those ranges, which uh, that's what mobility is having strength in the extents of your range. From a general health perspective, is really important to me, to pass on to as many people as I can. Um, Even looking at like, I always look at like my parents or my grandparents. If slipping in the tub or slipping on the ice, it can be, life altering for anybody really. So to try to protect that and maintain that movement as we age, our joints are getting tighter and tighter and tighter all the time. I'd like to still be fairly mobile at 70, 80 years old,
Yeah,
um,
that's the dream.
which would be, I'm sure, one of your goals as well.
Yeah.
So keeping that mobility piece along with the strength is something I'm very passionate about. Um, but it's very interesting to hear that perspective coming from you as well. Uh, um, is there anything else that you would have done, like any other disciplines that you would have dabbled with throughout, ever, like some like martial arts or ice cold baths, saunas, anything like that?
Yeah, I do a bit of saunas and some ice baths, which the ice baths are pretty, that's a mental challenge for sure. That's a really tough
Yeah,
one. No martial
absolutely.
arts. I like watching UFC, but I do wrestle some of my friends. That's not sure. I
Okay.
quite like wrestling. So
Yeah,
that's a pretty good full body workout that's fun at the same time.
yeah, absolutely. Good to mix it up a bit too.
Hmm.
Um, well, that's great. That is, what do we have for time there? That's just shy of half an hour. Um, what's what's next for you on the calendar other than Christmas?
Uh, the first race is King of Motos, January
Yes.
22nd or something. So we'll be going back there for, been there 5 times, maybe 5 or 6.
Right.
Won it twice. Cody beat me last year, and this year he'll be going on the Yamaha, so that'll be
Right.
pretty
Interesting.
interesting. He's won it like 6 times or so, so he's kind of the champ there. So we'll see if I can,
Knock them off.
beat him there.
Yeah. Um, that's awesome, man. You know, I can't wait to look back on, like I'm typing notes as we go here and compiling all this perspective. Um, and I really can't wait to look back at these notes and compare your notes to everyone else that I get to talk to and just share that with more and more people. That perspective, I think, is everything. So thank you so much for taking the time to
You're
chat with
welcome.
me today about this. I think that people hear me talk about it, and are probably tired of listening to me talk about fitness. But from it coming from someone like you and hearing your perspective and what you do, I think it has a very long reach. You've got a tremendous following, especially here in Canada. Canada loves you, um, and your word just means so much to everybody. Um, Tristan, we wish you luck and thank you again, for hanging out.
Yep. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for everyone tuning in.
Yeah. Awesome. If anyone, I mean, anyone that follows me for sure already follows you on Instagram, so I'm not even going to say that. But if anyone wants to talk about fitness or learn more about my programming or how I do things, or just generally talk about health and fitness, shoot me a DM and follow Tristan along on his races coming up in 2025. Okay, dude. Peace. Thank you
See
so
you
much.
guys.
Talk
Ciao.
soon. Bye.